Well, I wasn't that impressed with Romulus, but off the back of that, myself and my friend Mitch, we did a recording on our first thoughts about it for Mitch's Alien Minute podcast and my Alien in Character podcast. And off the back of that, I got back into the whole, got all infused with the Alien films again, and that will move on from that to fancying, of course, a modelling project to do with aliens. All right. As I record this, I've got two ideas. One idea, which is the idea I had first, is to do a little section of corridor where I can photograph the NECA alien figures, because I got a couple of them, and as I say, I'm all back into Alien again, so I've got another one on its way. So I thought that'd be a good way of just displaying them. So haven't started that. That's the first idea, but I haven't started that, and that's because I'm waiting for some styrene sheet and a couple of other things to come. All right. So this is my second idea, which I'm starting first, if you see what I mean. So this is Aliens: Another Glorious Day in the Core, a cooperative survival game, which I've been looking at tutorials on YouTube, and it looks an awful lot like the old Games Workshop's Space Hulk, where you've got these blips which move around the board heading towards the nearest marine, and you don't know how many aliens are on that blip until you actually get line of sight to it, and then it's turned over, and that's how many aliens you've got in front of you. Very Space Hulk. I can't see the Space Hulk designers suing this game, because really Space Hulk was based on the whole power plant segment of Aliens anyway, so I think they cancel each other out. Anyway, this looked a lot of fun. Looking forward to playing it. You can play it solo or in teams, so that's always good. But the reason I'm talking about it now is you get a number of miniatures, 7 hard plastic characters. I don't know if that means the plastic's hard or these are dead hard characters. So yeah, you've got a whole bunch of them there. I haven't unboxed this. You can see my hand there. It's still in its cellophane. It seems that the first couple of missions, you get a number of missions in this, is to locate Newt. To begin with, she will just do everything to stay as far away from any of your characters as possible. You've got to locate her and calm her down, and then she becomes part of the team, right? And then you get, can you see them? There they are. You get your aliens as well. 16 it says, multi-pose hard plastic aliens. So looking forward to cracking this open and reading how to play it, and then also priming these up, because I'm going to paint them. This is going to be fun when I come to the BDUs, the Colonial Marines fatigues, getting their, the camouflage pattern in this scale is going to be a bit of a challenge. All right, the aliens are dead easy, and I know that because I've already made these. 3 years ago, I was put onto this by my friend Ian, who I do the Alien in Character podcast with. He had got some of these. You get them in the starter box, but you can also buy them separately, and he had bought some, and I thought they're really nice. Back then I didn't really consider the idea of playing the game, so 3 years ago I just bought the set of figures, and for my Patreon page I made a little diorama, all right, which I will now show you. I'm going to move this highly reflective thing out. God, it weighs a ton. Out the way. This I made for my Patreon page 3 years ago. If you scroll back, there were 2 brief little videos here on YouTube about how to paint the aliens. Weren't the most exciting of videos. And yeah, the actual building the set was a Patreon exclusive. I'll put a link below for that as well. All right. And so I've dug it out and I dusted it off. What I can't find is the strobe light. I had a strobe light going along the top, and it was pretty powerful, and I have absolutely no idea what I did with that. So today, what's coming to the rescue is my wife's bike light, which has a strobe setting. So if I turn that on, you can get an idea of how it was. Kind of went like so. All right, getting a bit closer. Like so. All right. And I'll just take you behind the curtain. Now, all this is foam board, fronted by plasticard, and all the light is happening because of this. This is a grid from a fish tank filter grid, all right, and just backed with a double sheet of tracing paper. And there we go. There's all the bugs down in there. So yeah, I made these 3 years ago. I don't know how many aliens you actually need for the game. I mean, I've got these already, but I've got another 16, so it looks like I'm going to be painting some more. Looking at these, I think it's just spraying them matte black, a dry brush. That looks like Escherine grey to me from Games Workshop. Yeah, and then pick the teeth out in silver and a bit of metallic on the base. So, all right, I'm going to go off now and open that up, and I'll come back with them primed, the figures primed, and we'll take a better look at them. Well, clearly not at the primer stage. I decided to give the marine sprue a warm soapy bath. The plastic felt very waxy to me, and I'm always wary of waxy plastic because sometimes, depending on the waxy plastic, paint doesn't stick too well. Although, having thought about it, I don't think I washed those aliens that I did 3 years ago. But yeah, just to be on the safe side, I've done that. So yeah, let's have a quick look before I start snipping and gluing and priming. So there's Newt saluting. It's curious. The every base has got a name to it for some reason. I don't know why. There's Gorman, Gormless Gorman, as we called him, holding up his tiny pistol. Who have we got next? This is Frost. That's not a chest burster that's come out of his chest. That's, I guess, where his, yeah, that stub there goes into his chest for his flamer. Then we've got, that's Hudson. Doesn't look like old Bill to me, but let's see what happens when we get some primer on. Then who have we got down here? This is Ripley. Can't even, oh, face is upside down, that's why. I don't know I'm doing this. You'll say, oh, that's not too bad. That looks like, that does look like Sig. So, okay. Then we got Vasquez, the only smart gunner you get. Drake is in that expansion pack, or an expansion pack, which I will be getting at some point. We've done Ripley, haven't we? That's Vasquez and Hicks's weapons, and there's Hicks's head. Go on, Michael. Go on. There he is. And that's Hicks's body there. All right, I'm just going to let these dry off, and I'll snip and I guess put in grey primer and then white primer. All right, grey primer, white primer. The other thing I've done is I've only blue tacked them to the base because I'm not going to pick out the names in colours or anything like that. I'm just going to do it in metallics and then heavily wash it and dry brush it to bring out the detail, and that's going to be a bit tricky with the person standing on it. So they're just glued in place for now. All right. So this is Hudson. Not very Bill Paxton like. All right. And we got Ripley, which isn't bad, not a bad likeness, especially in profile like that. All right. Who's next? This is Hicks. I should have known with the shotgun. It's going to be fun trying to get the to pick out the little microphone they've got going across their faces. Then we have Frost, like so. Vasquez. That smart gun's very blocky, but what else are you going to do, you know? That's going to be well fiddly if you try and have that in scale, at this scale. Cool. These are going to look good when they're on the board, with all the colours on. Bit of a gap there with Gorman at his wrist, but should be able to sort that out all right. And then little Newt, just there like that. Great stuff. All right, skin job time, I suppose. Okay, that's the skin tones are underway, etc., etc. They're just generic faces. There's no attempt at a likeness at all, although the most accurate, I guess, is Ripley. All right, Ripley also, I've blocked in her boiler suit thingy, which is a grey with a tint of blue in it. All right, so underway there. Gorman's nice and easy because this is just Vallejo olive drab. Just putting that on. Newt, I'm just doing her. She's got a filthy dirty top, so just block that in. Yeah. Now then, the BDUs, the fatigues. This is. I thought it was going to be tricky. I mean, the thing is with the camouflage. Let's bring in my Hicks, my Eagle Moss Hicks that I've redone. This is pretty much what it was, right? So you've got three colours: a greeny stone colour, a brown colour, and a dark grey, right? And each, I used to have a pair of these, the original fatigues, and the pattern is different on each one. And what I did with Hicks was I was trying to emulate from the stills just where all the patterning was. All right, tried anyway. With these, I don't think I'm going to bother. I am going to be putting on, as you see, I've got like a lightish green, which isn't strictly accurate, but these figures, they have things that aren't accurate in the film. These pouches on their legs are just far too pronounced. The pouches they're wearing, they're not accurate to the film at all. And because they're not accurate to the film at all, I'm not that bothered that this initial colour is not quite right. Okay, let's bring in Hudson so you can see his. All right, so I'm just going to muddle on and carry on. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. All right, I had a rethink on that basic colour scheme. In fact, I missed a bit there. So that was the colour it was, that green at the top. I'll redo that. This is the colour it is now. As I say, on the Eagle Moss Colonial Marines that I've repainted, I used Tamiya Deck Tan. I haven't got any of that at the moment, and I don't want to wait for it to come. So this is a couple of flesh tones, Games Workshop flesh tones that I've mixed together to give me the approximate colour. What else we got? Yeah, I've just washed Ripley's grey fatigues in Nuln Oil. All right, little new. I've dirtied down her tunic, so it's nice and grubby. Quite happy with that. I'll move on to her dungarees next. Frosty's coming along, and you can get into focus. These look horribly bland at the moment, the fatigues, the BDUs, but next step is we'll alter all that. And oh my God, I've only just picked him up to have a look. I haven't looked at him since I put the contrast paint on this morning. This was the olive drab, and I've put a Thonian camo shade, is it called? It's a Games Workshop colour shade, and I thought that would do the job. It kind of has, but it's dried far too glossy. That ain't good, is it? All right, rethink on that, and I'm going to have a redo. All right, so I've dabbed on the various colours for the fatigues. I tried putting some washed down Agrax Earthshade to pull it all together, and it just wasn't working. It dulled everything down too much, so I had to dab it off quickly before it started staining everything. And you can see what I'm doing now is I'm just blocking in with the dark green the armoured bits for the legs and the chest and the helmet, just to see how it's looking, how the fatigues are looking alongside a different colour. So yeah, the armour, I'm putting on the green and the brown and the grey and the yellowy colour, and I'm just scratching them on with a cocktail stick. All right, just building that up and up. Washed the weapons, painted them gunmetal, and then washed them in Nuln Oil. And of course, pulse rifle isn't that colour, so I've got to paint that. You know, the motion sensor there, the tracker there. But we're getting there now. I got a little challenge of trying to recreate Ripley's Reeboks. Vasquez, I've done her smart gun like that, but it's kind of like a black, so I'm putting a black contrast over that soon. All right, so I've done her bandana. Once I've done all that, I've got to pick out all the tiny little details like the mics, all the strapping, all the ammo bags, stuff like that, and we'll be done. So there's Newt on her way. So yeah, I think I'll come back once everything's done. Well, they're looking pretty good, all painted up, and now on the board. So let's have a quick last look at them. Newt was kind of tricky to do. All right, that's not a badly painted mouth, by the way. That's her microphone just there. All right, so we've got Newt. We have Ripley. Challenge with Ripley was to do those Reeboks. I'm not attempting, by the way, to paint eyes or lips or anything like this. These are tabletop gaming miniatures, not to be displayed in the display case. All right, so we've got Vasquez. I made all the straps and the pouches brighter than they actually are in the film. The trouble I think is with this scale, if you try to be movie accurate, everything's going to be just a very drab, greens and browns. All right, I just wanted to bring things out a bit, and also, as I said earlier, they're not strictly accurate in the way of armor and pouches and stuff like that. So anyway, that's Vasquez. All right, Gormless Gorman, as we called him. He's got stars and stripes on his arms, and I've just put the blue and the red in. I'm not going to attempt to put the white stripes. All right. And then we've got Hicks with his rifle, and Frost and his flamethrower, and then we got Hudson. Now, I've made a note of the colours that I've done for all this, because there is a supplemental miniature set that I will be getting at some point. And I want these all to look the same. So I've got to make a note of what I've done. The Eagle Moss figures, I used Tamiya Deck Tan for the light stone color that is the basis for the BDUs. What I did here was mix up cracked stone, I've put, and flayed one flesh, all right? And then the other problem is if you know your Aliens weaponry, the pulse rifles weren't painted green. They weren't really painted brown. They were painted a colour called Humbrol's Brown Bess, which is an old enamel paint that you've got in those tiny little tins, and very rare now, very hard to find, and very difficult to emulate it. It's a colour that in some lights looks green and in some lights looks brown. All right. But I found quite a close match was to mix Vallejo green brown with Games Workshop's Death Guard green, and there you go. That gave me that greeny browny colour that I was after. So there we go. That's them done. Next set I'm going to get from this will be the Get Away From Her, You Bitch expansion set, which is basically Ripley in the power loader, the Queen alien, Bishop intact, and Bishop halved. So stay tuned. I don't know how long it'll be. I've got a couple of projects I'm just starting now, but I will be back with them at some point.